The Wrong Wedding. My name is Emily Carson, and this is the story of how I almost married the wrong man, and how one impossible choice brought me back to the only person who ever really saw me. I was born in a place called Ashwood Glen, a picturesque little town in upstate New York, where everyone knows everyone, and reputations last longer than love ever does. My family? Old money. My father ran one of the biggest law firms in the state. My mother? Former debutante turned socialite. Our house? The white-columned estate on Elmhurst Hill, the kind of place with afternoon teas and framed legacy photos on the walls. But none of that ever felt like mine. You see, I was always a little different. I liked bare feet and thunderstorm walks. I found more peace in the quiet corners of our garden than in the crowded dinner parties my parents hosted. And in that garden, the first time I ever saw Noah. He was the gardener's son. Tall, quiet, a little rough around the edges. I must have been 6, maybe 7. I was hiding under the hydrangea bushes to avoid piano lessons, and he found me, clutching a book and half a sandwich. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "I live here," I said back. He stared. "I mean, under the bush." I laughed. "Well, now we both are." That was the beginning of it. We grew up in parallel, me in silk dresses and ballet shoes, him in muddy boots and flannel shirts. But somehow, we always found each other. After school, he'd sneak me pieces of wild honeycomb he found in the woods. I'd leave him books under the bench in the orchard. We never told anyone. It was ours. Of course, my parents knew. But they saw it as harmless, a passing phase. Just a poor boy playing pretend with a bored little girl. They tolerated it, the way you tolerate summer storms, inconvenient, but temporary. But it wasn't temporary. By the time I turned 16, I knew I was in love with him. And I was pretty sure he felt the same. One night, after my junior recital, I found him waiting by the greenhouse. I was still in my long navy blue dress, the hem damp from the grass. He looked at me like I was something rare. "Dance with me," I whispered. "There's no music," he said. "There's always music," I smiled. We danced barefoot under the stars. And then he kissed me. It was clumsy, sweet, electric. Everything changed that night, and nothing did. Because the next morning, my father saw the two of us together. And just like that, it was over. Noah was sent away. His father fired. My phone taken. I wasn't allowed to leave the property unsupervised for months. My parents told me it was for my own good. That I was confused. That someday, I'd thank them. I never did. Years passed. I went to Dartmouth. Then Columbia for grad school. I got engaged to Andrew, a man my parents adored. Ivy League, clean-cut, polite. A future partner in my father's firm. He was fine. I didn't hate him. But I didn't love him either. We were planning a June wedding. Everything was perfect on paper, floral arrangements, calligraphy invitations, custom dress fittings. The kind of wedding you see in magazines. But something was missing. No, someone. 1 week before the wedding, I went back to Ashwood Glen to finalize some details with the planner. I hadn't been home in over a year. And there he was. Noah. In the old barn. Covered in sawdust, building garden tables for the local market. His hair longer now, beard scruffy, arms stronger. But those eyes, same as ever. We didn't say anything at first. Then he said, "You're getting married." I nodded. "You heard. Everyone has." I should have left. I didn't. I asked for tea. He poured it. We sat outside, watching the sunset. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. "I thought about you," I said. "I never stopped," he replied. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through the orchard. I found the bench. Still there, weathered, but strong. And under it, a book. One I gave him when we were kids. My name still scribbled in the corner. The next few days, I found excuses to see him. Coffee at the market. A walk through the woods. He showed me the small cabin he built with his own hands. Simple, beautiful. Why didn't you ever write to me? I asked. Your father made sure I couldn't. And now? I don't want to be the reason you break everything you've built. I don't care about any of that, I whispered. I just want to be happy. 2 nights before the wedding, Andrew arrived in town. He kissed me like a formality. Talked about business. Told me how his mother wanted to adjust the floral palette. And all I could think about was Noah. That night, I stood in front of the mirror in my old bedroom, veil in my hands, tears streaming down my face. My mother walked in. You're scared, she said. That's normal. No, I said. I'm wrong. This whole thing is wrong. She tried to reason. Reminded me of expectations, stability, legacy. But I'd had enough. The morning of the wedding, I got dressed. But not in my gown. I put on jeans, a white blouse, and no shoes. And I ran. To the cabin. To the orchard. To him. He was there, in the garden, shirt stained with paint. I can't do it, I said. I won't. He didn't say anything. Just pulled me into his arms. I'm yours, I whispered. If you'll have me. He kissed me. And I knew I was home. It's been 3 years. We live in that cabin now. I teach music at the local school. He builds furniture. We take long walks. We laugh more. We cry less. We love hard. Sometimes I think about that other life, the one planned for me. And then I look at Noah, making pancakes in our tiny kitchen, humming an old Beatles song. And I know I chose right. Some weddings are perfect. And some never happen. Because something better does. But life, as I learned, doesn't freeze in fairy tale endings. 3 years later, the cabin started to feel small. Not physically, it was still our haven, but emotionally. There were quiet moments where I caught myself staring out the window, asking questions I didn't want to voice aloud. Noah was still kind. Still gentle. But he was content with things staying exactly the same. I wasn't. I had dreams of traveling. Of teaching in different places. Of seeing the world outside Ashwood Glen. I tried to share those dreams, but he always brushed them off with a laugh and a kiss on the forehead. Why go anywhere when we've got everything right here, he'd say. One night, I brought it up seriously. What if we went somewhere? Just for a while. Paris? Or Florence? We could sell the furniture online, teach music remotely. He blinked slowly. That's not who I am, Em. But it's who I might be. He didn't respond. I loved him. I still do. But I started to feel like I was growing, and he was standing still. The slow burn of resentment crept in. Not because of anything he did, but because of what I started to need. Something more. Something different. And that scared me. It was around then I met Claire. She moved into town to take over the bookstore when old Mr. Whitman retired. Tall, sharp-eyed, quick-witted, with a dry sense of humor that cut through small talk like a knife through silk. We met at the town's poetry night. I read a piece. She complimented it. We got wine afterward. It started innocently. She made me laugh in ways I hadn't laughed in years. Challenged me. Asked questions no one ever had. If you could be anyone else for a day, she asked once, who would you be? Someone braver, I said. She tilted her head. You seem brave enough to me. We started spending more time together. Walks. Coffee. Long talks about books and politics and fear and freedom. Nothing physical. Nothing romantic. But something was happening. I felt seen. In a new way. And it terrified me. One night, Noah found one of Claire's notes in my coat pocket. Just a quote from Virginia Woolf, but he knew. "You love her?" he asked quietly. I couldn't lie. "I don't know what it is," I said. "But I feel alive when I'm around her. And I haven't felt that in a long time." He nodded. "No anger. Just sadness. I always knew you were meant for more than this. I just hoped I could be enough." That broke me. We sat in silence for a long time. Then he stood up, kissed my forehead, and said, "Go find what you're looking for. I'll be okay." And just like that, it was over. I moved into the guest room at Claire's for a few weeks while I sorted out my emotions. It wasn't about being with a woman. It wasn't even about love, at first. It was about rediscovering myself. But as the weeks passed, and the nights blurred into long conversations over candlelight and jazz records, something shifted. We kissed. And it felt like home. People in town whispered. My mother called, furious. My father cut off financial help. Friends disappeared. But Claire stayed. "You don't have to choose a label," she said once. "Just choose honesty." And I did. I chose truth. I chose uncertainty. I chose the beautiful chaos of figuring it out in real time. It's been a year since then. Claire and I live in a small loft above the bookstore. I teach music part-time and started writing a memoir. Noah and I still talk sometimes, kind, distant, respectful. And me? I've never been more myself. Love isn't always what we expect. Sometimes it comes in childhood kisses under hydrangea bushes. Sometimes in runaway weddings. And sometimes, in the quiet company of someone who sees you completely. Whatever it is, it's real. And it's enough. Soft ambient piano music plays. Narrator, gentle, hopeful. This wasn't the ending I imagined. But it's the one I needed. And for the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.